5, the final lesson in my full reading course. My name is Ben, and I am your instructor. All right. Today we are going to be covering fill-in-the-blank questions, as well as reviewing a couple of the skills that we have studied so far. Okay? So kind of a full class review, but we'll also be looking at fill-in-the-blank questions as our new skill or new strategy for today. A little bit about me. The reason that I am such an expert at reading questions is because I am an IELTS test writer. Okay, it's one of my several jobs. So through the process of writing IELTS exams, I learned very well how the question types match up with the reading passages. Okay, so this gave me some great insight into how to think sort of from the inside of the test, how to think like a writer and understand the test in a whole new way and from a different perspective than you might be accustomed to. Okay, so I've got some great strategies for you, and we've revealed most of those strategies in the first 4 lessons. And let's begin by getting into a little bit of review of what we've covered so far. All right. I want to start by going over some of the tips that I mentioned in the first couple of lessons. If you are approaching a reading passage for the first time, make sure that you pay attention to the title and especially any subtitle, headings, or introduction, because one of the main elements of test writing is balancing the difficulty. Okay, so if question sets are particularly difficult, or if a passage topic is particularly difficult, the test writer will include a subtitle or some kind of headings to make things a little bit easier for you and in a way to balance out the difficulty level. Okay, so those are there to help you. Please don't skip them. The writer has done that for your benefit. Okay. Next, check the question types before you read. All right. Each question type requires a different approach when you read the passage. So don't just skim through the passage right away. Check the question types first. Third, don't panic about the topic. Okay. The IELTS test does a really good job of making sure that no prior knowledge is needed about any of the topics on the exam. Okay? In fact, in some ways, knowing a lot about the topic can actually be a disadvantage because you may, for example, answer a question true because maybe it is true, but it's the correct answer in the test is not given because maybe the passage didn't actually mention that. Okay? So not knowing the topic actually will give you somewhat of an advantage on the test. So don't panic if it looks like a really difficult topic. And then fourth, answer every question. There is no penalty for, or there's no extra penalty for getting a question wrong compared to leaving it blank. There's no reason to leave a question blank. That's the point. All right. Moving on. I want to review one concept that was really key to all of our strategies, the difference between intensive reading and extensive reading. Okay, intensive reading, it's about 80% of the IELTS reading test is intensive. Fill in the blanks, which we'll study today, are intensive. Most multiple choice questions, matching information, matching features. Okay, a lot of different question types involve intensive reading, which is really finding a fact inside of a passage, finding a specific fact within a larger passage. Extensive reading is understanding the larger ideas or the writer's intention or the structure of the essay rather than a specific idea. Okay? It needs a kind of big picture understanding. If you listen to lesson number 4 on matching headings, we found that headings is all about extensive reading, and that's what makes it so difficult. Okay. Intensive reading, we utilized a find and match strategy, okay, where we read the question first, okay, question number 1. We then tried to find a matching sentence in the passage, and by comparing the two side by side, we were able to answer the question. For example, in true, false, not given, if the question and the statement in the question set and the sentence in the passage, we put them side by side. If they're a match, the answer is true. If they are the opposite, the answer is false. Right? And if we can't find a match, the answer is not given. So it's all about finding in the passage and then putting them side by side and matching them up. Okay? Find and match. We use that for all of these question types, as you see here, including, at the very bottom, blanks, filling in the blanks, which we'll study today. Extensive reading. Extensive reading, we did a passage first strategy where we looked at the passage to begin with, okay, summarized all those paragraphs or tried to catch the main idea of the text, and then find a question to match that. Okay? Very different from intensive, where it's question first. This one is passage first. Okay? Very, very important to distinguish those two skills. And we use that for only multiple choice questions, some multiple choice questions, and matching headings, which we studied in lesson 4. All right, now fill in the blanks. Here's the kind of order of operations here. Very similar to find and match. Okay, we underline a few keywords, okay, and we note the synonyms. We limit the area of the passage as much as possible. Then we find the answer for question 1, underline a few more keywords, find the answer for question 2, and continue. Okay? Very similar to true, false, not given, or the fact type of multiple choice, except in this case we don't have, we have more like a paragraph with some pieces missing sometimes. There's different types of fill in the blank, I guess, is the real difference. So you just need to take them one at a time. That's the key. And again, it's following our pattern of find and match, find and match. Okay? Oh, okay. We'll get back to this in a minute. Stay with us on the fill in the blanks. We're going to jump over to an example and see if we can apply this strategy in real life. All right. So let's take a look at this first passage here. This should be familiar to you guys if you studied lesson 4. We're going to use the same passage and we're going to do a different question set from that passage. Okay? So this passage is about the Little Ice Age, as you can see. Okay? And in lesson 4, we did the matching of headings and we got a general understanding of the structure of this essay, or this passage, although we struggled a little bit. This was a difficult one, but we're looking in this case for this specific area. Okay? So the first thing we do is take a look at question number 1, or in this case, question number 1 and 2. It's 18 and 19. And we want to underline any keywords and note synonyms. Okay, just like with any intensive kind of find and match strategy that we've practiced. All right, so documentation looks important. Records, documents, something like that. Past is going to be important. Weather conditions. Let's see, limited. And sources of knowledge. Okay, sources of knowledge. Again, records, books, documents. What else could we look for here? Basically, we're looking for records and books of the past. So two kinds of sources of knowledge is what we're looking for. All right. But this title, or this subtitle here, helps us to narrow this down. We don't want to scan through this whole passage. That is really too much. We're looking for weather during the Little Ice Age. I see Little Ice Age here in paragraph E. But I also see Little Ice Age here. I see bitterly cold winters, deep freeze, cold winters, heavy spring, early summer rains. I think we're looking at paragraph B for the weather during the Little Ice Age. All right, so now that we have it narrowed down, we can look for our keywords. Okay? Remember, we're looking for documentation or sources of knowledge. I don't see any, actually. I don't see anything about documentation here. But if we continue on, aha! It looks like B was not the passage we're looking for. Looks like we're looking for C instead. Okay, because I see climate changes of the past. But let's keep B highlighted, actually. B mentions a lot about weather. We might be jumping around a bit here. Okay, so documentation. I see observations. Climate changes of the past I see here. So looks like we're looking right in here. Records. Here we go. Records. Accounts, written accounts. Okay, so looks like this sentence here. So this sentence, we're now going to look at our answers here. Okay. The main sources of knowledge are A and B. Within this, we should be able to find that pretty easily. Right here, right? Tree rings and ice cores. All right. Now make sure we have a list of words we need to use here. So here we go. Tree rings, ice cores. I'm going to write it here. 18, 19. Doesn't matter which order they come in. Okay? Doesn't matter at all. Okay, great. Okay, 18 and 19 done. Now we move on to 20. Okay, Little Ice Age was a time of blank rather than of constant freezing. Here is the key. Rather than. Okay, so the meaning there is basically not or in contrast, something like that. Of constant freezing. We can do a quick synonym there. Freezing, cold, consistent, steady, something like that. Steady cold, consistent freezing. All right. So let's see if we can find the contrast to consistent freezing. I don't see it in here. Okay, so this is a bit of an unusual example because questions 18 and 19 come from here. But then we jump back, okay, to talking about the weather of the Little Ice Age. That is unusual. Typically, the answers will go in order, okay? This one jumps around just a little bit. It's not random. It goes from here and then back to the beginning and through. So let's start from paragraph B then and look for consistent freezing. I see bitterly cold winters. Oh, here we go. I see a big however here. The Little Ice Age was far from a deep freeze, however. Okay, looks like we're looking at this sentence here. A time of what rather than consistent freezing? A time of what? Not deep freeze? However, an irregular seesaw of rapid climatic shifts. Do we see that in here anywhere? Anything to match? I see climate shifts. Okay. Now we've got a bank here, a bank of words, meaning that it might be slightly different here. I notice climatic shifts, in here climate shifts. That's okay. Okay, don't panic about that. If there's a list of words, they might be slightly paraphrased. Okay, if there's no list of words, it will come directly from the text. Okay, but climatic shifts is going to be our answer for number 20. And we can rule that out. It's getting easier and easier now. Within it, there were some periods of very cold winters. So some periods of very cold winters, others of blank and heavy rain. This should be easy to find. Blank and heavy rain. Some of cold winters. We'll have cold winters first. Then we'll have something with heavy rain. Okay, so let's see if we can find that. Looks like cold winters is here. Okay, so it looks like we're starting right here. This sentence, I think. Blank and heavy rain. Let's see. Years of heavy spring and early summer rains, mild winters, and frequent Atlantic storms. Okay, we're looking for mild winters or Atlantic storms. Aha. I see storms here. Yeah, okay, so 21 must be storms. Mark that off. And 22, and yet others that saw blank with no rain at all. Blank with no rain at all. Drought, no rain at all. That's what drought means, right? Even if you don't know the meaning of drought, you can guess that the answer must come from this last piece here. So, light winds, summer heat waves. Do we see any of those? Ah, summer heat waves. Okay. So this must be the answer for 22. Okay, and it's as simple as that. Fill-in-the-blank questions are not rocket science, okay? It is about keyword matching. Find these keywords, match it up, and then find the word that fills in these blanks. Okay? This is a fairly easy one in comparison to others, okay? Because we've got this key, and really, even without reading, we might be able to take a reasonable guess at what these answers might be. But even for more difficult examples, difficult questions, okay, use the same strategy. Keywords here, find it, match it up, look for the answers. Okay, keywords here, find it, match it up, find the answer. Okay, same strategy, find and match. Use your keywords and use your scanning abilities. Those two skills will guide you through fill-in-the-blank questions with no problem. So if there is one question type that people struggle with the most, it is probably multiple choice. And we talked about the reason why back in lesson 2, because there are two styles of multiple choice questions. There are fact questions and there are purpose questions. So I wanted to do one more question set to review multiple choice so that we could once again see the difference between the two. Okay? Remember, fact questions, we use our intensive skills, find and match. Read the question stem, underline keywords, note synonyms, scan the paragraph for a sentence that contains the keywords, compare the sentence to each answer choice. One of those answer choices is going to be true. 3 of them will be false or not given. Okay, very similar strategy to true, false, not given. And you'll see that it's quite similar to our fill in the blank strategy. Find and match, right? It's an intensive skill. Okay. And to remind you, the purpose questions, we use our passage first strategy. Read the entire paragraph first, the whole paragraph. Then you have to change your perception a little bit. Think like a writer. Consider how the paragraph fits in the whole essay. Then choose the answer choice that matches best. Okay? Now, if they're asking you for a summary of a paragraph, this works well. If they're asking you for the writer's purpose in doing something, this also works very well. Okay? But it requires a perceptual shift or a conceptual shift. You have to think differently. Think like the writer, not as a kind of puzzle-solving test taker. Okay? Think about how the paragraph contributes to the essay. It's not easy, but we'll see a couple of examples today. All right, so taking a look at this example passage, look at the title, Biological Control of Pests. All right, and we have a nice set of 4 multiple choice questions here. Okay. So we're going to start by looking at the fact questions, okay? In fact, I think all of these may be fact questions, so that should help us. Fact questions, remember, we're using our intensive skills. So find and match. We start by finding any keywords in the question stem. This is the question stem, okay? So keywords, pesticides, okay, and contribute to. And this is the real key, because this is going to be the hinge which connects this idea with one of these ideas. Okay? This actually makes it a lot easier when this kind of hinge or this connector is included in the stem. Okay? Contribute to, we're talking about cause and effect. Contribute to, lead to, result in, something like this, right? And pesticides, I don't think we'll need to have a synonym for that, okay? So, with our first question in the set, there's an extra challenge because we need to find where it is in the passage, okay? We don't know where it begins. These should all go in order, but we don't know where the set begins. Okay, let's see here. We see here Food and Agriculture Organization, so that matches here. So we may be lucky here and actually start at the beginning. Let's see if we can see pesticides contributing to something here. Here I see synthetic chemicals for the control of pests. I see pesticides here. Aha, I see exactly this. Contributed to. Oh, we're lucky here. The writer didn't even use a synonym here. So we lucked out. Looks like this is going to be the sentence that we need to match. Okay, particularly this piece right here. The emergence of a new breed of chemical-resistant, highly lethal superbugs. The emergence of a new breed. New breed coming out, right? Now we compare that with each of our question choices, our answer choices. Okay? So which one matches best? A change in the way ecologies are classified? No. An imbalance in many ecologies? No. The prevention of ecological disasters? No. An increase in the range of ecologies which can be usefully farmed? No. Aha, we missed something. Check this out. Apart from engendering widespread ecological disorders. There's the trick. I thought this seemed too easy, right? Contributed to, oh, super easy. Just match this with one of these. No. They use this little grammatical device to trick us a little bit, okay? So now, let's see if we can find this piece. Engendering widespread ecological disorders. Engendering, we might be unfamiliar with that word. It means causing or allowing to happen, okay? Widespread ecological disorders. So, change in the way ecologies are classified? No. Maybe imbalance. Okay. Ecological disorders? Disorder, imbalance? Maybe. How about 3? Prevention of ecological disasters? No. Increase in the range of ecologies which can be usefully farmed? Definitely not. B is our best answer here. Moving on to number 15, let's take a look at the question stem first. The Food and Agriculture Organization has counted, Food and Agriculture Organization has counted more than 300, big sign there, agricultural pests. Okay, let's find that first, okay? I don't think we need any synonyms really, because I think we're going to find it in this paragraph here. More than 300, okay? Species of agricultural pests have developed resistance to a wide range of potent chemicals. Okay. It looks like this sentence, okay? And this part in particular is what we're looking for, okay? Now, notice the difference between 14 and 15, okay? 14 we have contributed to here. And really, there's just a noun clause that we need to match. This is a bit different because the pivot word is here, which. So each of these, the variety between A and D here is much greater than the variety here. Because of the grammar flexibility, we can use any verb here. Are responding, can be controlled, continue to spread, may be used. Those are 4 very different meanings. So we have a lot more complexity, and it's a lot more difficult to match with what we have. But let's take a look first here. Have developed resistance to a wide range of potent chemicals. Have developed resistance to chemicals. So let's take a look at A. Are no longer responding to most pesticides in use. Are no longer responding. Have developed resistance. Is that the same thing? Maybe. Let's read through B, C, and D just to make sure. Can be easily controlled through the use of pesticides? No. Continue to spread disease in a wide range of crops? Well, no, I'd say that's a not given. And may be used as part of biocontrol's replacement of pesticides. No, I don't see that at all. So it looks like A is definitely our best choice, even if the paraphrasing is pretty strong. Okay, very strong paraphrasing between this and this. Okay. And you'll notice I talked earlier about the balance of difficulty. Okay. Notice here we had contributed to. it was made difficult by this grammatical kind of turn of phrase here. Okay? So this was not the match, but this was the match, right? That's how they made this one difficult. In 15, again, we've got more than 300 agricultural pests. Here, more than 300 agricultural pests. Very clear and obvious paraphrase, or not even paraphrase. Keyword matching is so easy here. Okay, all the keywords in the stem were also mentioned directly in the text. What made it difficult is this very strong paraphrase of this part of the sentence. So the finding was easy. The matching was hard. All right. Now, cotton farmers in Central America. Okay, again, it looks like it's going to be very easy to find the keywords. Cotton farmers, Central America, and we've got began to use pesticides. But notice again, okay, the difficult thing is going to be, look in 14, we had the connection word in the prompt, which made things easy. Here, the connection words are all different. Because, in response to, as a result of, in order to. Okay, cause, kind of effect, and purpose. Okay, different types of connections. That's what's going to make this difficult. The matching part will be hard. Okay, I'll go ahead and highlight these here so you can see what I mean. All right, different connection words. Difficult. Okay, now it should be easy to find though. Cotton farmers, Central America. Let's search through cotton farmers, Central America. No. Here we go. Cotton farmers in Central America. Okay, what did they do? They used pesticide. They began to use pesticides. Here we go. They took to pesticides. Okay, so a bit of paraphrasing here. All right, took to pesticides. That means they began to use pesticides. All right, that may be unfamiliar language use. Okay. As a sure measure to boost crop yield. Okay, this looks like our... As a sure measure. Measure has a few different meanings. Okay? So the writers made things a little bit harder for us by using a very abstract word. The measure, in this case, it does not mean how long or how tall or how heavy something is. A sure measure is a sure way. Okay? You take measures to do something. You take ways. You use different ways. Use different methods. Okay, a sure method, a sure way. So it looks like this might be the best answer, in order to. Well, tricky though. Boost crop yield. Let's see if we can find that idea here. Intensive government campaign? No. Appearance of new varieties of pest? No. Changes in the season and the climate? No. Ensure more cotton was harvested from each crop. Bingo. Okay, so D is going to be our correct answer. All right, great. All right, so if we move on to number 17, it's our last question, guys, so bear with me here. All right, we've got mid-1960s. Cotton farmers in Central America. Found. Okay, good. This makes it a little easier because we've got our connection word here. Okay? That makes it easier to match. But we do have verbs beginning here. Wiping out, destroying, causing, and costing. 4 different verbs. Granted, wiping out and destroying are similar, but we also have 50% here, so this should be really easy to find. Here we go, 50%. Mid-1960s. We've got cotton production as well. Okay, cotton farmers in Central America found that pesticides, what? What were pesticides doing? Well, we've got 50%, so it has to include 50%. It looks like we're looking at this sentence right here. So notice all I'm doing here is trying to find which sentence to match up with our answer choices. Okay, so now that we've found the sentence, which of these options is the correct meaning? Okay, pesticides were wiping out 50% of the pests plaguing the crops. No, I don't think so. I see here financial outlay. Okay, maybe I don't know what outlay means. Okay, I do, but maybe you don't. That's fine. Something to do with finances. So, wiping out 50% of the crops? No. 50% increase in the number of new pests? No. 50% of the total amount they spent on their crops. They cost 50% of the total amount. 50% of the financial outlay was accounted for by pesticides. That looks right. Yeah. Looks like D is going to be our correct answer. All right. So all four of these were fact questions. Okay. So that made things a little bit easier for us. All right. But you can see that you can see some of the ways that the writer balances the difficulty, making us think, contribute to. Oh, it's easy. It's this. No, it's not that. There's a trick. It's actually this part. Okay. Things like that you should start to become aware of the more you practice. Okay. Think like the writer. Think about what tricks the writer is using. That's really going to help you when it comes times to take the test. All right. So next, let's go back to our PowerPoint and look at one more type of question to finish out our lesson. All right, now we are back to our PowerPoint and we're going to look at our final question type for this whole course. All right, we're almost to the end here, guys. It's been very fun. I've enjoyed myself, but we got to finish someday. So this is it. Sentence completion. That's where we're going to finish here. Sentence completion. All right. So sentence completion, we've got the beginnings of several sentences, and we need to match them with the ends of several sentences all mixed up. Okay? This is going to work a lot like multiple choice. Okay? It's going to be a very similar strategy, searching through the question stem, finding it in the passage, and then matching to the correct answer choice. Okay? So we're using our basic intensive strategy here. Question set, underline keywords, note synonyms, go to the passage, scan the passage for each question, and then find the matching answer choice. Okay? Nice and simple. Keep to our find and match strategy. All right, let's go to our example. Alrighty, guys, let's go down to our final example. Oh, actually, we're using the same passage, okay? Same passage, but we're going to a different set of questions, okay? 22 through 26. All right, so let me get rid of these highlights. Okay. Now, same kind of basic idea here with our strategy. Okay, we start by, let's get rid of our underlining as well. Okay. We start by looking at the question stem. Okay. Discipline scale insects. Oh, it looks like all of our question stems have really obvious keywords. Okay. So the finding is going to be really simple here. Okay, this is great. Okay, look at all these question stems have the names of specific animals in them. Perfect. All right, let's do it one by one then. Discipline scale insects. Okay, let's look for discipline scale insects. Discipline scale insects. See, the multiple choice covered this part, so I'm guessing it'll be down here. Discipline scale insects. Did anybody see it? Where is it? Ah, finally. Okay, here we go. Discipline scale insects. We found it. Okay. So, as with the previous one, okay, as with the multiple choice, the ability to find is not really being tested very carefully here. It's the ability to match. Okay, so we know, because the writer needs to balance the difficulty, that the matching part is going to be difficult. That should be your biggest clue right there. Finding is easy, matching must be difficult. That is the rule for the writer, okay? So let's take a look. Be very careful with your matching here. There's going to be some tricks, I would imagine. Okay. CIBC is also perfecting the technique for breeding parasites that prey on discipline scale insects. Okay, so parasites prey on insects. Insects are notorious defoliants of fruit trees. Oh, defoliant. What does that mean? And maybe we know what prey on means. Prey on means eat or consume or hunt. All right. But defoliants, now they are using that word because they know you don't know what it means. Okay. That's what I mean by adjusting the difficulty to match, to account for the easiness of the finding process. Okay, so looking at this question then, the insects feed on what? The insects eat what? Okay, because we've got prey on, which means eat. The parasites eat the insects. Okay, so we know that parasites is not going to be right here. Okay. What do the insects eat? Well, it says that they are notorious defoliants of fruit trees. I'm guessing defoliants means eaters. Okay, if you know the word foliage, that means leaves. Okay, so defoliants, they remove the leaves. Okay, so I think that means eat. We can just guess. The only other keyword that appears here is in fruit trees. That's the only other option that we have here. Okay, so we know it's not we know it's not parasites. That's where they're trying to trick us, okay? So the answer here is D, fruit trees. Okay. Remember, easy finding, difficult matching, okay? Nidumiltia tsenguani. Let's see if we can find those. Nidumiltia tsenguani. Here we go. Easy to find. Again, we have 8. Okay, what did they eat? Okay, I think we're going to have a similar trick here. Okay, was found useful in controlling the Rhodes grass scale insect. Controlling, does that mean eating? I'm not sure. The insect was devouring forage grass. Okay, we see, yeah, forage grass. This is the distractor here. Okay, we see devouring. We might recognize that as eating. Eating forage grass. Ah, it must be forage grass. No, read it carefully. The insect that was devouring forage grass. Okay? This thing actually is controlling the Rhodes grass scale insect. So the verb controlling does not directly mean eat, but we can assume, we can imply that how did they control this insect? Probably they ate it. Okay? We notice that it's a predator. Okay? That means it hunts for things that it eats. So All right, so we have the answer here is the Rhodes grass scale insect. Is that here anywhere? Grass scale insects, yeah. Okay, it's the same trick. It's really the same grammar trick that they used here. Parasites that prey on. Insect that was devouring, right? They're using a little bit of grammatical complexity to try to trick us. Okay, but we should not be fooled because we already have it in our minds. Easy finding, difficult matching. All right, next, leaf mining hispides. Where are our leaf mining hispides? Leaf mining hispides. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. Here we go. Leaf mining hispides. A larval parasite imported from Singapore brought the pest under control. What pest? Okay, let's highlight this whole sentence then. The coconut groves were plagued by hispides, so a parasite controlled the pest. Okay? Read that carefully. The groves were plagued by hispides. A parasite controlled the pests. What pests? Hispides must be pests, right? I don't know what other pest it could be. They didn't mention any other pest. So we don't know what leaf mining hispides are, but they must be a pest. Okay? And when the coconut groves were plagued by them, the parasites brought them under control. So let's see. Leaf mining hispides blighted what? Here's where they tricked us, right? Blighted. Do you know the word blighted? Probably not. There's a good chance that you don't know the meaning of that word. So what we're testing you for then is how well you can understand this sentence to guess what blighted means. Okay, so what did they blight? Did they blight the coconut trees? Or did they blight a larval parasite? Oops, sorry, I did this wrong. This should have been blanked out. This should not. So which one did they blight? The hispides blighted the parasites? It seems weird because the parasites probably ate the pest. So unless hispites means the opposite of eat, which would be feed, so the hispites feeded or fed, feeded is not a word, the hispites fed the parasite? I don't know, that seems a bit weird. How about the leaf mining hispides plagued the coconut groves? Blighted the coconut groves? That seems more in line with the meaning of blight. Okay, blight must be somewhat academic. It probably means something more like plagued rather than ate. Okay, so I'm going to guess that the meaning here is coconut trees. You got to use your best judgment here because if you don't know the meaning of blighted, you just got to go with your instincts on what you think blighted probably means based on this sentence. We know it's coconut groves or larval parasite. Okay, Argentinian weevil. Where is our Argentinian weevil? Here's an Argentinian weevil. Okay, the CIBC is now trying out an Argentinian weevil for the eradication of water hyacinth. Maybe that's enough. Let's look at that. The weevil is meant for the eradication of this thing. Kind of weed. An Argentinian weevil may be successful in wiping out... Oh, easy. Right? Water hyacinth. Perfect. No problem. Very easy one. Okay? As long as you take the time to just understand what this means. They're trying out the weevil for the eradication of the hyacinth. So maybe the weevil will be successful in wiping out the hyacinth. I hope. They hope. I don't really care. They hope. All right. Now we've got our final answer here, our final question. Salvinia molesta plagues what? Okay, again, we have plagues. Again, a little bit difficult vocabulary. Okay, where is Salvina molesta? Salvinia molesta. It sounds like a Harry Potter curse. Salvinia molesta. Sorry, that's a bad joke. Here we go. Salvinia molesta. Okay, we got a nice long thing here about Salvinia molesta. Starting from here, let's get rid of this so we don't get confused. Okay. Because we got the Brazilian beetle here, right? And we've got rice fields as well. Okay, we can get rid of this. That is not going to be our answer. We can get rid of forage grass. That is not our answer. We can get rid of larval parasites. That is not our answer. We got one of these two things. Okay. And I think we could probably guess here, okay, because Salvinia molesta, all of these other ones, or we've been talking about weeds, right? Dangerous weeds. What do weeds probably plague? If we know the meaning of plague, a weed is going to plague a rice field. The weeds do not plague the beetles. The beetles eat the weeds because the weeds eat the rice fields, right? We can guess that, okay? But just to make sure, let's look through it. By using this beetle, scientists freed a canal from the clutches of the weed. Oh man, this phrase, you can search for it online if you want. Free something from the clutches of something. Very advanced grammar, very idiomatic language. They're expecting you not to know what that means. Okay? So if you don't know what it means, you are like everybody else. You're not supposed to, probably. Okay? And about 30,000 hectares of rice fields in Kerala are infested by this weed. Infested, plagued. Okay, similar meaning here. So what we need to know is which one is the weed. The weed is Salvina molesta. Salvina molesta plagues what? Rice fields are infested by the weed. So weeds infest the rice fields. Weeds plague the rice fields. Okay, so as we expected, our answer is B. Okay, but this is a really great example of how the writer is balancing the difficulty level. Okay, I kind of admire this passage because it's something as a writer that I always have to deal with is, how to make passages difficult enough or easy enough to be appropriate for the students. Okay, so this is passage 2, right? It needs to be moderately difficult. We had too many easy keywords in here. Too easy to find, too easy to find, too easy to find, too easy to find. How do we make it difficult? Well, let's use a lot of confusing and long grammatical sentences and some idiomatic language and some words that you probably don't know. Okay? And by doing that, they have raised the difficulty level. Okay? So just be aware of that. The more you take the exam, the more you practice, the more you will start to see that. Okay? And that's all that I have for you guys today. And this is the last lesson of the course. So with that, I will say goodbye. Again, my name is Ben. I have been your instructor for this course. If you enjoyed the course, make sure to leave me a comment and make sure that you stop by the QQ group and register for that group because you get some nice individual feedback from me and some help from me. Any questions that you have about the reading section, I'm happy to answer in there. All right, guys, I hope you have a great day. Good luck on your exam. Bye-bye.